I'm Sarah Farguson, Director of Support and Digital Strategy at Cornershop Creative. We're a full-service digital agency that works with progressive nonprofits, and we are a fully accredited Engaging Networks partner. So I don't know which number of ENCCs this is at, but I know that this is probably at least my fourth or fifth. And then I will let Morgan introduce herself.
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Morgan Shariak, and I am the Digital Production and Analytics Specialist at Friends of the Earth. So my role primarily consists of building our emails and targeting our audiences. So I've gotten to really delve into marketing tools in the last year.
Awesome. Well, Mike already kind of gave away our first slide, which was about if you've transitioned and it is not working. No, it's not. So it looked like most people were already in the new marketing tools, which it's really just like the next evolution of email marketing. And I really emphasis on marketing. It's more than just email. It's testing, it's SMS, it's reporting. It is the entire ecosystem, which I think really leverages the strategy behind, what Email Classic was. Email is just one channel for you to market to your supporters and engage them. And so the new tool really leverages that thought and provides you the experience to integrate it into your processes. So I wanted to highlight some of the benefits of the platform, and please ignore my fridge cigarette. It's that time of the day when you need a little bit of caffeine. So first are the drag and drop templates, which as someone who spent the first 2 or 3 years at Cornershop just building hundreds of thousands of emails, this is a huge time saver, especially if you are not well versed in HTML and CSS. It allows you to save key components to be able to reuse them over and over again, so you can focus more on the strategy and the content and less about how to actually make it happen. And I realize my little animations are not working. So if they were, you would see a segment being built here. I also, in addition to not having to use a WYSIWYG editor, I also like not having to painstakingly build my targeting for each email painstakingly and making sure that I do it right every time, because you can have those predefined segments that are through the Engaging Networks ecosystem. So, setting up an email, targeting it, and sending it out is just a lot more of a seamless process. And again, it gives you more time to focus on the strategy, which was what we all care about, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make the difference. And the fact that this is a linchpin of the Engaging Networks ecosystem just makes it much more, concurrent and apparent throughout the entire platform. This is another feature that I really, really appreciate, is the audience segments within the tool itself. Again, having built hundreds and hundreds of emails, I can remember going into the email builder and having, 7 different versions of the same email for each segment. Now that it's contained within essentially one campaign, it's so much easier to build. You can quickly replicate your core segment and then version for each unique one. And we'll get to reporting in a little bit, but it's really nice for reporting. If you are a digital strategist, this will make you happy that the platform now does A/B testing right. So in Email Classic, you'd have to create 2 versions of the email, and you could only do essentially a 50-50 test, which, yes, that can tell you a little bit, but isn't going to give you that true tested experiment to understand what is going to work well, and then you can implement throughout. So now you can have multiple variations and do A/B champion testing, or however you call it at your organization. I've had lots of conversations this week about SMS and texting in general, and now it's built into the process. So if you aren't using SMS already, highly recommend looking into it because it is kind of that natural next step. Yes, people are going to, get your email, but will they open it? It's really hard to ignore a text message. As hard as I try to ignore them, it is a much more immediate, kind of lo-fi way to reach your supporters. And now it's built into the process of building out your campaign. So it's not so much an afterthought, but it can be built into that process seamlessly. And I think most of our clients' most favorite thing is the new reporting that is within engaging networks in general, but especially for their marketing tools. I had talked earlier about the audience segments and how they're built within that one campaign, and now you can very easily compare, how your different audiences resonate with your messaging in a very seamless way. It's also visual. As a person who likes colors and graphs and charts, it makes my brain happy. And then, we haven't even talked about the custom reports that you can build, but it's so much more intuitive. So these are really just some of my favorite reasons to move to the new marketing tools. And Morgan's going to talk a little bit about her journey with us to move to them. So Morgan.
Yeah, thanks. I think I might just use this.
Go ahead.
Is it picked up? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, yeah, my name is Morgan Sheriak. Like I mentioned before, I work on the email program at Friends of the Earth, and we usually abbreviate it just to FO. So, FO is an environmental nonprofit that works and fights for a more healthy and just world. And together we do that by organizing to build political power and campaign to change the rules of economic and political systems. And we use engaging networks as a pretty integral tool to get that change and messaging out to our supporters. Yeah, our email program consists of fundraising and advocacy efforts, which have differing goals, but they're built for both FO's 501c3 and C4 organizations. And our email program consists weekly of about 5 to 9 emails. And then on individual giving days, we can send anywhere from 2 to 8. So it's a pretty big program. And we use Engaging Networks primarily to encourage our supporters to take some sort of action. FO's been using Engaging Networks since 2017, and primarily that has been using Email Classic. It wasn't until last year that we started using marketing tools when it debuted. And so I actually just joined the team a year and a half ago at FO, and we had already known that marketing tools was coming up. It was going to be a new feature within Engaging Networks. So one of my first tasks upon joining the team was to dig into these new tools and see how they worked. And then also identify what we needed to do to duplicate our old efforts, or at least not veer too far from what we had established in Email Classic to begin with. And so we ended up partnering with Cornershop to help rebuild our new templates, or our templates based from our old templates into marketing tools with the new and improved tools. And that process probably took about 2 to 3 weeks, just with like communication between vendors, and with Friends of the Earth in general. So, and then from there, like our team had to also do some additional work to make sure that we were inserting all the correct variables and custom blocks that we needed in our templates. And so once we got those templates squared away, we ended up making a list for all of those things that we needed to convert from Email Classic to marketing tools. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is the variable replacements. They're key to efficient workflows in marketing tools, especially when you're using the email builder. Like their namesake implies, variable replacements allow you to replace specific variables that you yourself get to define as the user when you're building these things. So when you're first creating a template, you can see on the right, we have a HTML view. That's what you'll first be presented with when you are building a new template. This is where the code goes, obviously, for your email template. And as you can see in the example, there are these little gray buttons. One says donate button link and the other says banner. So these are variable replacements, and you can insert them into templates and into custom blocks. But for this template example, the donate button link is wrapped in an A tag with an href next to it. So that means that it can link to anywhere. That variable replacement can be swapped out with any link on the internet or a link that you have used for engaging networks. So it could be an engaging networks page that you've created as well. And then the banner link or the banner variable replacement in the visual view, it's just a show or a hide. So that is an option that a front-end user can select when they are using the template. Right now it's set to hide, but you get the gist. You can show it if you would like. Oh, and I'm gonna go back. I also just want to mention that both of the variable replacements were made using very basic code, and I know that that looks kind of long, but it's just a bunch of comments for Microsoft Outlook, as it is very finicky with a lot of designs. And next, let's talk about custom blocks. So they're huge time savers in marketing tools. In Email Classic, when we wanted to create a special design, we had to go back into an old email, find that exact design, copy and paste the exact amount of code, and then paste it into our new email in the exact right spot and hope that it didn't break everything. And then we'd have to start over. So the custom blocks are really awesome because you only have to write the code once. And if you have everything set up correctly, then you can just drop it into your template and nothing breaks. So they're huge time savers. And in this specific example, I did want to showcase this block we created called image variable width. And I will also note that it is based directly off of a sample block that Engaging Networks has already kindly provided for us. But in the highlighted portions, like the green, I've got both the front end and the back end view. So like the green highlight is the image that uses a specific variable replacement field called image URL, which links to all of your images and files that you already have stored in Engaging Networks library. So you can choose anything from there. The next one, image link, which is highlighted in purple, uses the link field variable replacement. So you can link to any link on the internet, or you could use pages that you've already built within Engaging Networks. And then the alt tag, which is highlighted in an orange, is just the alt text that you would add to an image. Like, I think that says, 3 orcas breach the surface of coastal waters. So you can write anything you want there. That's just for, it helps with folks who are maybe using a screen reader. But that tag is just using the text field. And this one, I did want to flag that you have to be careful when you are adding text to this, because in this specific block, we are editing the HTML with that tag. So anything that we put in quotes, for example, could break the entire block. So just be careful when you're using that. And then lastly, width, which is highlighted in purple, is using the select field for variable replacements. And all the widths that you see in there are ones that I, as a user, added. Like, I got to define those and then create a select option for anyone using the front end of the block. Also, I did want to note that the code for this block is incredibly short. So you don't have to write super complex code in order to achieve a simple or beautiful results. A valuable tip that I wanted to share about blocks is that when you're creating your custom blocks, try to look for instances where you can reuse the same variable replacement. So in this example, I've got a cluster of donate buttons that all of the buttons are going to go to the same link. So when I'm building my custom block, I only need one variable for link. Like, I'm not going to add button 1, link button 2. They're all going to the same thing. So if my front end user only has to add that link once, that's way more efficient for them. And then the same thing goes with like the button 1 and button 2 amounts. I can actually use that in 2 places in the same button. So that amount gets added on into the URL parameters, and it also is present in the actual text of the button. So if you click that button, it's always going to be $15 no matter what. Like, there's no accident that you have $50 on the 15 button. It's always going to be 15. And then ref code is the orange one, and that behaves pretty similarly to the link, where you only, even though it appears 4 times, you only have to use one variable for each instance. Another thing I wanted to highlight is the organization of how you are building your custom blocks. So the default view is an image view, and every time you create a custom block, you have to create a thumbnail. And since I primarily view in the image view, there is a list view if you prefer to view things in words rather than images. So what I try to do is I try to make every thumbnail look pretty similar to have a consistent feel, just so it's easier to read. It's easier for other folks who might be in engaging networks to grab those blocks. And that's just a personal choice for me. Like, you don't have to do that. I'm just trying to share, like, that's what's worked for me and has helped keep me organized as well. But it's really great because it is customizable, so you can do it any way that you want. And then on the right side, I've got some examples of layouts that have that we originally used in Email Classic and then have since converted to custom blocks in engaging networks. And so if you're unfamiliar with code, like I mentioned before, engaging networks does have sample blocks that are super helpful for getting started the first time. And we honestly use them in our alerts now as well. Like, if there's something that, like, don't reinvent the wheel. If it's already there, you don't have to rewrite it. And then there are also, like, if your templates and custom blocks are ready to go, then you are ready to basically build a new email in the new marketing tools, email builder. And yeah, so the new interface is very friendly and intuitive, and I think that also makes transitioning to the marketing tools even easier. Okay, so some of the key benefits, I personally love that there are there's a nested folder functionality. Before, you could only, in Email Classic, just have one folder for certain things, but now we can break things down even more. And I find this beneficial because, for example, if I'm out of the office, I want anyone on my team to be able to find, like, say, an email, and they don't have to look very hard. They can be like, oh, I know we sent that out, and this month, why don't I go to that month's folder? So I think that really improves the workflow. And there's folders for everything too. I should mention, like, it's not just your templates, it's not just your emails. You can also do it for the custom blocks. So there's a lot more organization options. I also think it's really important to think about the user interface when you are creating your custom blocks, especially if you're not the only one in engaging networks making emails. So what I try to do is be consistent with my naming conventions on what I name my variable replacements, and also just the order I put those replacements in on the front end. That way it stays predictable for other folks using the custom blocks as well. Also, if you are in the process of starting to create a new template, I really recommend just copying and pasting the code that you had in your previous, or like a template from Email Classic, and then dropping that into the new builder and see what it spits out. If any designs break, that's where you can go from there. And then also, if that's not your cup of tea, I'm positive that the folks at Cornershop would love to help as well with building templates for y'all. Another thing is that the custom block builder does not have a visual view like the template builder does. So I recommend using these free resources like Visual Studio Code or CodePen to develop your code for your custom blocks before you just paste everything into the custom block builder. It's really helpful for me specifically to see visually what I'm building, because I'm a vibe coder as well, as we have touched on before. There's a lot of vibe coders in the room. And then, yeah, you should also test everything. So when you build a new custom block, I really recommend testing that block on all major email providers. Same thing with the new template. See if Outlook breaks anything specifically, but testing on like Apple Mail and Yahoo and Gmail, and then also on mobile and on desktop, just to see if there's any errors. FO is a pretty comprehensive testing process, so we take it pretty seriously. Also, watch the tutorials in Engaging Networks Academy. Sarah and I have actually given this presentation in a webinar form, and it is available on Engaging Networks Academy if you need a recap on anything. And then also don't wait until the last minute to switch. Like I mentioned before, it took us like 2 to 3 weeks just to get our template squared away. Then there was adding the variables, creating all our custom blocks, and then ultimately testing everything. So really couldn't recommend enough starting months in advance. And then also, I just wanted to note that I know changing processes can be difficult, but it also invites room to revisit those processes and see what can be improved. So yeah, good luck. I'll give it back to Sarah.
Thanks, Morgan. So again, from the show of hands earlier, it looks like most people are at least within the new marketing tools. But as we've said, it can be challenging or scary to change processes. So you want to plan for that transition time and learning. Engaging Networks has set up the Academy with a lot of really great resources to help guide you through the process. And Morgan highlighted some of the out-of-the-box sample blocks and templates that they've provided. So if you're just not sure where to start, that's a good place to begin. It is also okay to migrate gradually. It doesn't need to be like a light switch. It can be more of a dimmer, especially going into year end. This probably isn't the best time to send all of your end of year emails out of a new tool that you're not familiar with. And that's okay. Continue to use Email Classic and maybe send out 1 or 2 non-critical messages in the new marketing tools to start building your processes. The platform is really designed around having, following naming conventions and having replicable, that's always the hardest word to say, processes that you can repeat over and over again. That's a better way to say that. So take that gradual migration time to start developing those. Like I said, this is a great opportunity to develop those SOPs if you don't already have them, and start developing a strategy to really leverage the tools that you have. Or as Morgan said, if you're needing some extra help to go on this journey, or you just want somebody to take care of it for you, partners like us or others that are here can help out. Most of us are in the side room, which you can come and talk to us. I want to highlight the timeline because I think this is the most critical thing, because we realize basically the year is over. Like, it's October, so it's basically December 31st. So within 6 months after 2026 starts, the ability to create or duplicate an email in Email Classic will go away. You will still be able to finalize and send any emails that you've already started to work on, though. That very important date is October 2026. So from a year from now, we will all mourn the fact that Email Classic will no longer essentially work. You will not be able to edit or send emails out. So you will need to have fully migrated all emails that you want to send to the new marketing tools. Good question. Good news is you will still be able to access Email Classic for at least the next 2 years, as that's the last bit of information that's been provided to us. So you can view those campaigns, grab preview links of like, what did we do in end of year 2023? So you'll still be able to, reference those, but again, won't be able to send or edit emails. All right. This is Morgan and I's contact information. If you have any questions, you want to commiserate about the transition or talk about tips and tricks on how to be using the new marketing tools the best you can. So I don't know if there's anything that's been submitted for questions. We're happy to answer those.
We have got a couple of questions, but thank you very much, guys, for that great talk. Having previously been a client that used marketing or Email Classics for at least 5 years, I can definitely say the marketing tools is a lot easier to use. And also just to add that the support team are on hand to help with the transition from Classic to marketing tools broadcasts. The first question we've got here, is there a built-in tool for creating custom block thumbnails?
I mean, when I build the thumbnails, I honestly just use Illustrator because I was a designer in my previous role. But you could also use like Canva. It's a really easy way to make a template. You can just like have your base thing there, and then I kind of do like a very rough idea of what the block should look like. If there's a button, I'm not going to put a ton of detail there. I'm literally just going to put a bar. So simplifying as much as you can, using a similar size text, I think is helpful too. One that you can read from far away, because these thumbnails are kind of small. Think of it like, like on YouTube. If there's text on the screen, it's going to be a little bit larger than it would normally be. But yeah, I would just use a simple graphic creator. You could probably also use Paint.
I was going to suggest just a screenshot. Like if you're using a visual code editor, just there's a bajillion Chrome extensions to take free screenshots. It doesn't need to be anything super fancy, just so that you know what that code block looks like.
Yeah, all the fancy stuff is just because I like to make everything look consistent.
Placeholder until I've made the email with the blocks, and then I take screen grabs of the live blocks and go back and update them.
I do the same thing.
Lots of great tips there. Another question here. What kind of tools do you use to test emails in different platforms?
So Cornershop uses Litmus, which is has a whole host of other tools, but another one is Email on Acid. I just like that name. Or, we also have multiple test emails set up because any emulator is not going to be 100% reliable. So if you have, a personal Gmail account, it's always great to test there. If you have an Outlook, test it there. I don't know, Morgan, do you use anything in-house?
Nope, we do it the old-fashioned way. I created like a Yahoo account for Phil, and I send it to that. So, and it's also really nice when you are sending your tests in marketing tools in the email builder. It saves all your like most recent email addresses that you have sent a test email to. So like those are always going to be there for you. So if you want to send it to your Yahoo, your Gmail, you can. And also if you have multiple people on your team, like for example, I have an Android phone. I can test what the email looks like on my Android phone on mobile, and then I can send it to either of my colleagues who have iPhones to see if there's any issues breaking on Apple Mail for iPhone.
And in addition to it saving your most recent test emails, you can also send a test to a seed list. So you can have, a whole host of emails stored. So you can just click one button and send it to however many people you want.
Great, thank you. Another question here. Is there a custom block to add HTML into your broadcasts?
So there isn't technically one, but you can make one. You can literally just use like an empty custom block and just create a very small table with a TR and or table row and then some table data, and then insert a text variable replacement. And then that text is going to act as your HTML because it's not like a rich text editor. It's literally just text. So you could just like copy and paste some code into there. That's what I've done because we've had to do special instances where we just need one little HTML block for something, but it's very simple to do.
Great, thank you. We've still got 5 minutes left. So have we got any questions from the floor? Are there any hands? If not, you guys can have 5 minutes back. Oh.
Now that you've been in it for a while, what would that be?
I might need a moment to ponder.
I mean, I'll just say from the strategy standpoint, we've talked about a lot of the variable replacements. So really thinking through what those elements are, I think is important. Again, if you want the transition to be as easy as possible, so setting it up to make that part easy so you're not being like, oh man, I wish I had ability to like easily swap this out. So I think having those internal conversations of like, how do we want to structure our emails, which is just an important thing in general. You want to have consistency in your email messaging. You don't want each one to be its own unique snowflake. So that's the thing I would say, think about more than you probably think you need to ahead of time. Because that is part of what makes the email building experience so great. Is it is kind of a plug and chug type of experience, and that's what's going to help you save time. Hopefully I gave you some time to think about your answer if you have one.
I guess I recommend like really think about how your current processes work, and duplicating and how you can duplicate those efforts in marketing tools. Because, for instance, like something that we used to be able to do in Email Classic that was really helpful and easy for us wasn't possible in marketing tools. And it was something very niche. Like it's literally replacing a code within the HTML code of the email in Email Classic. So you can't really do that in marketing tools. You can't like in Email Classic, you can like edit the HTML of your email if you so wish, but marketing tools kind of puts that on you to begin with. Like you need to think about how you're building things as for longevity, I guess. And I guess like another thing with that is thinking about like when you're building your custom blocks, they're not the thing that should be very complicated. Try to make your custom blocks work for your template instead. Because that's where all of your like styling and stuff should be. Sure, there can be like little instances of styling in your custom blocks, but I recommend not trying or trying to make things work for your template rather than trying to make your custom block, or rather than making your template work for your custom block, because the template is ultimately more important.
Great. Are there any more questions from the floor? Okay. Of course you can.
Don't hard code them. Make sure that they're in like a block that you can replace the custom block each year. Otherwise, it's really not fun.
Yeah, don't put it in the template, because once you create the email with the template, you can't, you have to recreate everything. So yes, the template should be like where all of your CSS goes and all of that, but like use the custom blocks to create those things that you want, you know, everywhere else. I remember that, Mary. Oh, okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Sarah and Morgan. Just to add, I've popped your last webinar into the chat for this session as well. So if anybody wants to watch that in the Academy, just go into the chat for this session and find the link to save for later. Thanks so much.